things just don't happen. You have to practice, and then you have to come. And thank God for being so generous to get us a new keyboard. Thank you out there for being so generous with your offering that we could get a keyboard. I know some of us on fixed income is a sacrifice. When you sacrifice for God program, what a sacrifice it is. Amen. Thank you. We don't want you to take it for granted that you let us get a keyboard. We want you to know that we appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Now it's preaching time. Amen. This morning we'll be coming out of the book of Joshua, Old Testament, the 5th chapter. Joshua, the 5th chapter. Now beginning at verse 10 through 12. Amen. Joshua, the 5th chapter, 10 through 12. And I'll be reading out the King James Version. Right in first, Genesis, Exodus. Come on down around the 5th book. Joshua, the 5th chapter. I give you a little time. Usually we in the New Testament, we in the Old Testament. This is all good. That's a good book, Joshua. Amen. Amen. Joshua, the 5th chapter, when you get it, would you acknowledge it by saying amen?
Amen.
Amen. Joshua, the 5th chapter, 10 through 12, reading from the King James translation. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month, even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes, and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna anymore, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. Amen. May Jehovah God add a blessing to his word. I'd like to speak to you today in my short period of time on the subject of coming out of your wilderness. Coming out of your wilderness. I almost said I could just preach that and wouldn't even need a text this morning. Because all of us been in the wilderness. I don't know what your wilderness was, but we've all had something we had to come out of from. I don't know whether it was drugs, alcohol, bad relationships, or just had a bad hair day. I don't know, but we all had to come out of the wilderness. But I do have a text, so let me give it to you like this. It said God likes to provide for his children. And that's what we are. We are God's children. I know sometimes we don't act like we're God's children, but we are. We are God's children. And he loved to provide for his children. When he created man, his intention was to give him the title of God and place him in the midst of a beautiful oasis in the desert. God took every care to fill that garden with all the fruit necessary for help and sustenance. Even the animals were subject to man's command. But God's good intentions were destroyed by man's disobedience, and the struggle with sin began. That's what it is with sin. We struggle with sin. You know, your heart is saying one thing, because God, he touches your heart, and God tells you in your heart, you know what's right in your heart. But sin